Welcome to the September 25th Conservation Commission meeting. We're here at the Norwood Senior Center. And do we have anybody remote? We can just do a regular vote, right?
If we just have conservation commissioners here in person.
Okay, so-
We do have an applicant will be talking from.
Okay, good. All right, so we don't need to take a roll call. All commissioners here, right?
Actually, usually Steve does go through each person.
Okay, you don't have to if no one's remote, but I'll be happy to do that. Okay, so Anil Prashad?
Here.
Kelsey Quinlan?
Here.
And Catherine Walsh here. Okay, so we'll move right into the first public hearing, and the first is off Norton Drive. It's a request for determination of applicability, Norwood number 2024-14. The applicant is John Glassa, and we have John Glassa here from Glassa Engineering. So would you like to present your information?
But he's not here tonight.
He's
John Glass is not here.
okay.
But they've requested to continue to the spring so that we can assess the vernal pools. Assess the wetlands.
Oh, I didn't realize he wasn't going to be here.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they've asked to continue to the spring because that's when our peer review, John Rockwell, recommended that we go down to the wetlands and look for evidence of amphibian eggs,
Okay.
which can be a predictor of vernal pool existence.
Okay, so we are going to vote on a request for them to extend?
Yes, and
Until
we would like to extend
April.
the time in which we can respond to their filing to the spring as well with them. And they've basically.
But because they haven't responded to our comments.
True.
Yes, okay. So we're voting to request an extension? Okay, and so the date will be April, the first meeting in April? Okay,
Yes.
and we don't have a date yet, so.
That's true.
Okay. So can I have a motion to continue the hearing until the first meeting in April? And Carly, you'll have to reach out to them once the schedule gets set in 2025? Oh my
Yes.
God. Okay.
I'll make that motion.
One second.
All right, awesome. All right, as we're done in the hybrid environment, we'll go around. Anil Prashad?
Aye.
Kelsey?
Aye.
Catherine votes aye. Okay, great. All righty. Do we need to open those up for the continuances? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, all
open
right.
each one.
And so the next is 750 University Ave, Notice of Intent, DEP number 2510564, Norwood number 2024-16, applicant James McAuliffe, representative Matthew Moyen. Is there anybody here from the group? No? Okay, so if I could get a motion to request the continuance for the 10/16 meeting.
I'll make that motion.
One second.
All right, perfect. All right, we'll go around. Anil Prashad?
Aye.
Kelsey Quinlan?
Aye.
And the chair or the vice chair votes yes. Okay, great. All right, thank you. All right, next up is 32330 Union Street, Notice of Intent, DEP 2510558, Norwood 2024-09. The applicant is Andrew Gibbons. The representative is Matt Smith from Norwood Engineering. Do we have anybody from there?
I'm on that also.
Awesome. Great.
Madam Chair, David Hearn Jr. of Gellerman and Cabral, 30 Walpole Street, on behalf of Andrew Gibbons. We are asking for a continuance to October 16th at 7:30 at the Senior Center. If you'd include that in the motion, please.
Absolutely. So can I have a motion to request the hearing to 10/16 at 7:30 at the Senior Center?
I'll make that motion.
One second.
Okay, great, thank you. We'll go around and vote. Anil?
Aye.
Kelsey?
Aye.
And the vice chair votes aye.
Thank you
Great,
very
thank
much.
you. Bring her. Appreciate it. All righty. The next is open space by Meadow Street and Neponset River. Notice of intent, DEP number 251- we don't have the DEP number. Norwood number 2024-18. The applicant is the Trails Advisory Committee, Representative Joe Greeley. So, I guess we don't need Joe, right? I know you're here today. Unfortunately, we have a little bit of a glitch because we don't have a DEP number yet. We can't move forward.
We can't close.
Yes, close, so we'll request a continuance
We
to the,
can hear him, I would think.
okay.
The Boy Scout, Eagle Scout rather.
And he'll provide the alternatives? Has he been privy to
No.
that? I'm worried that Joe's not
Joe
here.
would.
Yeah,
Joe
yeah,
would.
yeah. So should we just request a continuance and we can address all that then?
Yeah, I'm surprised that Joe isn't here.
It's probably moved along a lot quicker than they thought, yeah. But we're going to have to request a continuance anyway. So we can just do it all at the next meeting. They can
could.
present the alternatives
He
analysis.
is.
Okay, bingo.
He's here.
We're just ready to continue without you. Oh, and the representative is Joe Greeley from the Trails Committee.
We're on your case.
Yeah, sorry. Hi. Hi,
Hello.
Joe, how are you?
Sorry, I'm tardy.
Joe Greeley, sorry.
Good, thanks. Joe Greeley, Norwood Trails Committee.
I'm Nick.
Nick Brewer, Boy Scouts Troop 49. Norwood.
Yep.
So Nick came to us, seems like a long time ago, about a year and a half ago. Requesting ideas, asking ideas for a Eagle project. We identified a number of possibilities, but one of the things that really made sense, Nick lives in a neighborhood close to Meadow Street, and he's probably spent more time on Meadow Street, the Concom property on Meadow Street, than the rest of us. So for that reason, we identified the project that's before you, for Nick to complete, not only because he wants to complete a project for his Eagle project, but also there's nothing more valuable than impacting your own neighborhood. So that was kind of the impetus to focusing on Meadow Street. At this point, we've got the information that's before you. We've got an engineering plan. We had introduced temporary swale crossings roughly a year, 9 months ago at least. And so right now, what's there is I think it's a 16-foot span.
Yeah. Yeah.
that- 16-foot span. The swale itself it's a a typical swale, but the 16 feet allows a landing spot on either side of the swale. We're looking at so what we're proposing, what we're requesting is an approval for this permanent construction of a crossing across the swale. If I had to estimate the swale at any given time, it was bone dry today. I was out there on the property today. We've identified the typical crossing. Most of the swales or culverts or what have you, they're pretty much dry as long as the river height is at roughly 11 feet. But then as the river rises, the swales come into play, the water disperses, and that, the swale's doing its job. So the crossing would allow use of the conservation property, the trail on the property, for roughly 9 months out of the year. And that's our estimate, just based on historical water levels of the Neponset. So it's definitely that whole Meadow Street area is, it's virtually unusable for literally for a couple of months, 3 or 4 months during the year due to the Neponset flooding. So we already know that going into this.
So could we have Nick tell us a little bit about the installation?
Yeah, so we already.
Thanks.
So I've been working with some of my scout leaders who have done projects before, and all of the wood and all the materials have been like bought and acquired, and we have already pre-cut all of the materials, so it's pretty much all ready to be assembled on the site. We just are waiting for permission to go ahead with it, and so it'll probably take one day, we're thinking, just one full day of bringing it all out there and put it all in the ground pretty much and get it all out there.
So tell us a little bit about the foundations on either side of the swale.
So it's, we're only going to be digging about like 4 inches down,
Okay.
so that we can get the sleepers in, because that's what's going to be really like anchoring it. And then through those, we're going to be putting. We have, I think it's foot-long pieces of rebar, so just to anchor the whole thing down, because without it, it's just going to float away when the river rises.
Got it.
So then on top of those sleepers on either side, we're going to lay, I think it's 3 or 4, I think it's 3 stringers across it, and then we're going to layer decking across the top of that.
Okay, great. Anybody have any questions?
How far into the trail is the swale? Are you going to have to carry those materials very far?
So I'm talking with Mr. Kofsky. He owns Kofsky Farm, which is right
Oh, yeah.
adjacent to the property, and he has an ATV that he thinks would be possible to get out to it. But if that wouldn't be possible, it's about like half a mile, which it would be possible, but it would take a little while, and it would be a little bit of a pain. But
Yeah,
that's okay.
absolutely.
You're a strong young man. You can get some fellow troops for.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay, great. Okay, and I think you guys submitted an alternative analysis that came in a little bit late. Carly, maybe you want to summarize that for us if possible?
Why don't I pull it up?
Awesome.
Maybe Jody, you want to start chatting about that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great.
So we, when we set our sights on the Meadow Street property, we knew we've got a number of the NOAA trails, we've got a number of brochures and kind of fixed properties and fixed trails. But because Meadow Street is so prone to flooding, we haven't quite gone to press with this brochure and map because of the water. It's a low-lying area. It's right on the Neponset, and it's not even. You can't even say in the springtime it's flooded. It's purely a result of rainfall, and the heavier the rainfall, obviously, and the prolonged rainfall is how the river rises. The river, does a great job of flow and taking the water downstream. But it's when you get a protracted period of time, an extended period of time for that water rising and staying elevated. So this trail, Kylie, if you can just rise it up just a smidge. So at the bottom, the legend basically identifies these trails that we've got. And the blue trail, it's, we call it the blue trail because the top of the blue goes along the Neponset. The green trail, so the trailhead is at the intersection of Fortune Drive and Meadow Street. All of this is conservation land. The green trail travels through a heavily wooded area. You're almost walking through a tunnel in the majority of that green trail area. When it meets up with the green trail, the green and the blue trail, you can see the Neponset rises. That's basically downstream is the top, and upstream comes under 95 and it enters the area. But it's almost right at that intersection. I'm just gonna. So the proposed swale crossing is virtually right at that, well, right where it kind of leaves horizontal and starts going back down again. Roughly right there. So there, we had identified a couple of alternatives upon request. The alternatives are we do have an orange bypass. It's 0.06 miles. It's basically a couple hundred yards. But the reason we kind of explored that area was because of the flooding along the riverway. It's usable, but it's because it's wall to wall, brush and everything else. So one of the downsides of that orange bypass trail is we would have to pretty much constantly be in there maintaining it. The bigger issue, it's not so much impact on us, but the bigger issue is you really lose like, one of the real key benefits of this specific area is it's right on the Neponset. And it's virtually the only place where you've got an unobstructed view of the river and the river and fishing, and, we do hope a lot of people use it for, multi-purpose, mixed use. But if we had to use that orange trail, we would pretty much eliminate the possibility of having that waterfront access. Plan B, the alternative of Plan B would basically be what people are doing today when the river is at a higher elevation and the swale is filled with water. Basically, people come in at the trailhead at your 9 o'clock, and they walk along the Kofsky Farm is here, just south of the property. So they walk along Kofsky. They'll walk parallel to 95. And then they'll walk along the Neponset, but you can't really see the Neponset because of all the brush and the trees, the tree line right along the river. When they get to the proposed area of the crossing, they just turn around and go back. Because there is no, other than this orange bypass trail, which you really lose a lot in the translation, but other than that, as an alternative, that's what people are doing. And they essentially have talked to, all of us have talked to a number of the neighbors, and they basically, they flip a coin and they say, do I go, how do I feel today? Do I want to go left or right? But they almost never, this is some of the neighbors have told us that, they almost never make the complete loop unless the swale is dry. And there's, where that's weather dependent. But we really think because of, and that's like directly coming from the neighborhood, that they basically get half a loaf. They get half of the experience, because unless they really are up for a challenge,
double back.
yeah, they'll do a horseshoe
Yeah.
essentially with an open at the top, because they can't complete the loop to make it a loop trail. So they'll do like the letter U or horseshoe, and it more times than not, they tell us that they do half the trip and don't do the other half. So those two things, and again, if we eliminated the area where the crossing is proposed, that's, to us, that's the best part of the trail, right along the river. You've got the meadow, the reason this is called Meadow Street is because there's a meadow right at the river, and they used to farm hay there, and a number of farmers used to come down there. That's why it's called Meadow Street, is because of what used to go on back in the 1800s. So you would essentially be losing that experience and that part of the trail. So they are alternatives. There's no question that those are alternatives, but they're not desirable by any stretch. So.
All right. Any questions on that?
So I'm assuming that Trails Committee will maintain this bridge after it's in place?
That's why I was there today. We were in there weed whacking the trails, and we didn't, other than walking across the swale, there was not a lot to maintain, but all of it is volunteer. We do it on a regular basis. We actually have a cycle, like a written cycle of how frequently we go visit. If vandalism, weather, whatever, if something were to happen once upon completion and the handoff of the crossing, it becomes the town's property, I guess, and it's up to us, and the Trails Committee would maintain it or replace part or all of it as needed. So, and that's the case with like all of the crossings. Is once the project is complete, we own it.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, sure.
Great, thanks. Sounds like a great project. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Carly, any comments? Recommendations?
No, it sounds good. I appreciate that you sent the alternative analysis. I think we're just waiting on the DEP permit number to arrive, and that should get emailed to us soon. So I would advise continuing to the next Conservation Commission meeting, at which point we'll have the DEP number and the potential to close the public hearing
Okay, so can I have?
and make a decision,
Yeah.
in terms of
Yeah.
order of conditions.
Okay. The next meeting is 10/16. So can I have a motion to continue the meeting to 10/16 at 7:30 in the Senior Center?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Okay, and we'll vote. Anil Prashad?
Aye.
Kelsey Quinlan?
Aye.
And Vice Chair votes yes. Thank you. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate it. Sorry we didn't have the DEP number.
Thank you. Just a point of clarification. So upon receipt of the number, is it a new hearing that night, or do you just vote on it? As far as Nick is concerned, like, does he have to come back, or is it only the number that's missing?
No, I think it's the number that's missing. We've heard everything, so we'll move to approve the NOI.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's no presence or
Yeah, we won't.
presentation?
I would advise you can take part in the meeting. It can be virtually. I feel like someone from Trail should probably,
Just give a high level, okay.
because currently we don't have two Concom members who may be there at the next meeting who may have some questions.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like it would be good for a Trails person to take part in the meeting.
Okay, I'll be there. I was just concerned about Nick. So, sorry, question number 2. So upon approval by the board, is there anything else? Can Nick just, like, the next day go out there, or are there?
There's a 10-day of potential appeal period after an order of conditions has been issued.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of wait time.
So it's 10/16 is the date?
Yes,
and
10/26,
So by the
10/27.
end of the month?
November 1st.
We would be able to construct. Okay. And then is there any sign off after the fact? Just so I know.
If the Conservation Commission decides to issue an order of condition, then the paperwork gets submitted. And then you wait the 10-day appeal period. You can begin construction after, usually there's like a site visit beforehand from the conservation agent. You do your work, and then you eventually apply for a certificate of compliance afterwards. So it's sort of like a continuing process.
Okay. Good. Anything? Okay. Good. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thanks
you.
so much. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Where we're at now. Number 5, 61 Endicott Street, notice of intent, DEP number 2510560, Norwood number 2024-12. The applicant is Kevin Holker from Norwood Commerce Center. We've got a representative, Sue Spratt, from McKenzie Engineering, and Attorney David Hearn.
That's right. Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. David Hearn, Jr. of Gellerman and Cabral at 30 Walpole Street here in Norwood, on behalf of Norwood Commerce Center. Kevin Holker is with us. Kevin wears several hats there, including project manager and a bunch of others that I too long to list. And Sue Spratt of McKenzie Engineering is on with us virtually and will be presenting. I just wanted to make a couple of introductory comments on this. This is a proposal to move forward with certain improvements at the Commerce Center, which you may or may not be familiar with, but is the old tannery and many other things over the years. It has been a developed property for some time. Hawesbrook runs along the side of the property, and we are proposing various projects that will improve parking areas, circulation, landscaping. We have been planning for some time and getting all the plans together to do so, to go before the Planning Board for a major project special permit and site plan review, and that will be going on beginning hopefully fairly soon, and to get all the necessary permits and approvals for the improvements that we want to make. We were before you not too long ago getting approval in order to make improvements with respect to the gas line serving the property, and that was all set. So this is part of an ongoing process to improve the situation there, to bring things up to date with respect to some things that have been done over the years, perhaps make them legal, in that there's some things were done at different times over the years. The plans that you have show, among other things, areas where buildings have been removed. This site has really been fully developed, I'd say, for many years. So it's not an untouched piece of property that most of it that we're dealing with here. We're dealing with old pavement, old buildings, foundations, and all that, and working to make improvements that will help circulation, parking, and all the other things. So we're happy to be before you tonight on this and to begin moving forward on it. And then, as I say, we'll be meeting with the planning board also, so we realize there may be some comments that might affect things, but we wanted to get it started. And I have nothing more to say, really. I'll turn it over to Sue Spratt, because she's the one who really can explain the whole project for you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, for the record, Sue Spratt from McKenzie Engineering, responsible for all the site work and drainage improvements at the site. Carly, can I share the screen?
Yes.
Can everybody see the screen? Sorry.
Not yet.
It keeps coming up with an error.
Okay, I can do it from my end. Hold
Okay.
on, hold on one moment. All right, let's see here.
I guess we could start at sheet C3. That's the existing conditions plan, which you can see that shows the site primarily fully developed. We have in color, the red, I believe, is the limit of wetland buffer zone to inland bank. The purple is Hawes Brook, the intermittent stream. The blue line you see on there is the FEMA limit of the 100-year flood zone. The lighter color, bluish purple, is the limit of the 200-foot riverfront zone. And if you scroll through that, sheet 1 of 3, then the next sheet, same color coding, you can see Hawes Brook down at the southern portion of the site. And then the next sheet will show the wetlands associated with the other side of a perennial stream that ties into Hawes Brook. And there's a cap, a contaminant cell area up in the upper right-hand corner, which is undeveloped. So those are pretty much the existing conditions of the site.
Carly, sorry, Sue, it's a little hard for us to see here. So up at that cell, so the green line is what? Is that green up there?
That green line is bordering vegetated wetland.
Okay, got it.
That was flagged.
Yep. Okay.
That is associated
Here's-
with
Yeah.
that perennial stream that runs through the property that ties into Hawes Brook.
Yeah. Okay, so- Hold on, Sue, we're pulling out the hard copies. Yeah.
We're not seeing yours in color.
Yeah, it's hard.
so-
Yeah. This is so much easier, you guys. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Okay, so here it is. Okay.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and then, wetlands. Okay, 100 foot. Okay, the no, okay. All right. Okay, much easier to see here in person. Okay. All right, keep going.
Then we'll move on to sheet C3. Sheet C3 is pretty much showing you anything that's hatched with like that orange dot hatched pattern. That is what we're calling previously unpermitted work, which consisted of removal of buildings and paving of existing gravel areas that happened between the years of 1999 and 2023. Also on the sheet, you can see there are some lightly grayed areas. Those were buildings that have been removed since 1957. So just so you know that at one point, to the southern portion of abutting Hawes Brook, there were 2 significant buildings that were on top at that site at one point in time. So if you want to move to sheet.
But when were they taken, do you know when they were taken down? I'm sorry. I didn't.
I can zoom in if you look at, one building number 22 was removed between 2011 and 2013. It's up in the, more of the right. We'll start from the right and loop around.
Okay.
So that building right there was removed between 2011 and 2013. I don't have the exact dates. That was prior to me working on the project. It was going through Google Maps. And then if you come down to the south, there were two other buildings that were removed between 1986 and I believe 1993. And the one on the left was removed between 1957 and 1969, that square one up in that corner.
And this is all unpermitted work, right?
Well, I guess, I don't know, did you have, was the commission in 1957 to 1969? I tried to highlight things that I knew
Yep,
from
good
when
point.
we came in, I should say, not me, but when Mackenzie came in, they did get a notice of intent to separate the existing combined sewer to make it into its own sewer and own drainage. So there was permitted work in 1999. So I kind of broke it up from 1999 to 2023. What was not permitted is everything that you see with the orange hatch.
Okay, got it, thank you.
And then you can look to the south, just on the other side here, that big kind of odd rectangle shape was a building that was removed between 1971 and 1978. What exists there now is the retaining wall, which was part of the footing, and pretty much gravel and all degraded, the whole degraded area, because it's still kind of like the bottom of the foundation, gravel, broken up pavement, and a retaining wall. Then as you come around to building between, south of building 33 and that orange hatch area here, there was a building that was removed between 1957 and 1969, that big gray area here. And then as you move up to the north, at one point there were buildings, they were labeled 6 and 7. Up in here, these two buildings, they were removed between 1969 and 1999. So we just wanted to document that at one point there was already impervious, degraded riverfront that existed prior to any of this unpermitted work that was done. So like I said, they came in and there was paving. They came in, this area was like broken pavement, gravel, because this was paved, you know, prior to, like I said, 1957, because this whole site was built up. So it looks like they came in and they paved and striped this area up in here. Down in this area, this square area here, there was a building that had a fire that was removed between 2013 and 2015. And sometime after that, it was paved and striped. These orange areas in here, like I said, there was another building here that was removed between 2006 and 2007. So pretty much they came in and, like I said, this was all broken up pavement at one point. They came in, repaved and striped this area and through here. There's no pavement here. There's the access road that came in and they repaved this area up in here and restriped.
Right, Susan, if you're pointing at the screen, we can't see that. Just so if you can be a little specific.
Can she point at the screen because you're sharing?
Yeah.
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 So just a quick question. So the orange area, are you saying that the whole orange area, so the unpermitted work was all impervious?
At one point, yes, either covered by a building or pavement since 1957.
Okay.
Alrighty. It's kind of complicated. Okay.
And so the next plan is the combination
Going to C4?
of, is overall what we're considering at this point, new work, C4, the overall view of what you can see of what we're doing, proposing as new work, which is, we'll start in this quadrant down here, which was an existing building that was removed between 71 and 78 that currently is gravel and has the existing foundation retaining wall. We're coming in and paving outside of the 50-foot no disturb and creating 46 new parking spaces. We would like to come in and remove all the existing gravel that is currently there and bring it landscaping with native plantings along this edge. For stormwater management, we're looking at the implementation of a rain garden in here that will provide treatment for this new parking area prior to it discharging as it currently does into this existing swale located here that was built, I believe in 2001. This swale was,
Susan,
that's what was permitted work between 1999 and 2001 was the creation of this water quality swale.
and Susan, you're speaking of this area where my pointer is when you speak of this swale?
Yeah,
The light gray.
Okay, and so the parking lot you were just discussing was over here where my cursor is?
To the east?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Correct.
And that part of that parking lot is within the 100-foot wetland buffer zone?
correct.
Okay.
We're pretty much just, we would like to create a parking lot on something that was impervious at one time, because there was a building there. So we're really not increasing impervious coverage. We're actually removing, because a whole orange area was impervious at one point. So we are bringing back, trading off some impervious and adding all this landscape green space because we're removing the existing gravel that is currently there.
So it's a gravel site today, so it's pervious, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And you're proposing, so building, then went to pervious, and now you're proposing impervious?
Well, the building was impervious at one point.
Yep,
Had,
took it down.
now, has gravel, which, I don't know if that was, like part of the building at that time, that maybe it was a gravel foundation floor, I don't know. But we're looking at putting in pervious material and bringing some green landscaping and adding a rain garden for stormwater management.
So the rain garden is to
The west,
right here, this linear area?
yes.
Yes? Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, the next, if you're heading down, is that existing water quality swale is currently overgrown. And we met with Elix back in August, and she walked that with Kevin, who is in attendance, and he can discuss the discussion that he had with Elix. But we're proposing to remove invasive species that are currently there, clean out small brush, overgrown bushes and things, but keep the significant trees that are currently in there. But to clean out the swale, and we've incorporated that also in an O&M plan that was submitted as part of our drainage report. So it's pretty much maintenance that should have been done yearly. We're doing it as part of this project to do that work that should have been done. And also in our site meeting with Elix back in August, she recommended adding a rain garden behind that parking area that was built upon the building that was removed. So that area, that rain garden will capture runoff from that parking area. It will be treated prior to entering the water quality swale, as that area does now, presently.
And Susan, are you speaking of that linear rain garden where my cursor is currently?
No, that one is part of that parking lot. I'm talking about the circular one that's south of that orange rectangle right there. That was at the recommendation of Elix when we did our site visit. They recommended that we put that rain garden there to capture the runoff that currently comes off of that parking lot.
When was the site visit with Ilex?
August,
Oh, okay.
when I was away.
When you were away? Okay, okay.
And then I just went down, I think, last week.
Okay, and so that says garden swale?
Rain garden.
Rain garden,
This is a
okay,
swale.
swale, okay.
Existing
Existing,
swale
yeah.
that's going to be
Cleaned
cleaned
up.
up. This is a
New.
new rain garden.
Okay.
That one, there's some complexity though, because there was some unpermitted fill that was put along the brook. During our site visit, I'm sorry, I jumped in.
No, please do.
Okay. I was concerned about including that fill as part of the grading for that rain garden, because you're not supposed to put fill in bordering land subject to flooding. And we don't know what is in the fill. It hasn't been
Do
tested.
we know when it was filled?
I'm not certain. Do you know? It's before your
Okay.
tenure there?
Okay. Okay.
So my concern was removing that in a legal way.
Yep.
And, depositing it somewhere legally that can receive it, as opposed to incorporating it into a water infiltration system.
And so that's south of the rain garden?
That's where the rain garden is. You see Hawes
okay, it's
Brook
in there,
over
yep.
here.
Yep,
It's in this
okay.
general area.
Okay. All right,
Yeah,
go-
the fill that Carly just mentioned is south of the rain garden. It's between the old pump station building, that you can see that little square. Yeah, right to the north of that, that's with that fill area she was talking about, right there.
Okay.
Yeah, right in there.
Got it. All right.
Then if we move up along Hawes Brook, currently it's all degraded along that edge. We walked it with Carly. You can see we're now adding a green buffer all along Hawes Brook. We're removing some existing concrete that's currently out there, removing some existing pavement, bringing it back with loam seed, wild mix, grass seed out there. Whatever significant, there are some significant trees along there. We will not remove them, but we will clean up all the gravel, asphalt, and concrete that's all along Hawes Brook to provide a buffer that currently doesn't exist. Currently, the pavement goes pretty much up to Hawes Brook with how things grow over years through cracks in the pavement. That's pretty much what you see along the edge of Hawes Brook.
So you're proposing to keep that, the south of the orange, the smaller orange, you're proposing to keep
Yes,
that in
that's
place?
part of the I think it's called K9 training facility. There's a dog training facility. You see that trailer right there? So all that is fenced off, and that's where they train canines.
Oh, and help me understand, so there was a building there, got taken down,
Yes.
and then they installed a parking lot. And you think that happened when?
A bit summer after 1969.
Okay.
The building was there, the building got removed between 1957 and 1969.
Okay.
And that's all gravel at the canine area now?
Oh, no, it's all pavement. I don't know when it was paved. It was paved way prior to when I started. I think it was paved prior to 1999 when Mackenzie did the project to separate the combined sewer. So it was already paved prior to 1999. I mean, I have aerial photos, I can't share my screen, but they're in the NOI. I have, if you look at the NOI, I have aerial photos that you can see the progression of the years, that you can see when it was paved.
But you don't have a year, so you should have a year on that, right?
I don't know offhand, I have
Okay,
to look
got it,
through.
got it, okay, okay.
Hold on, I can.
On the fly.
Okay.
1957, pretty much 1957, it was all buildings and all pavement. And then in 1969, that's when that big orange, this building here, so like I said, between 57 and 69, that building was removed. Then it looks like it was paved between 69 and 95. That looks like it was paved.
Okay.
And then in 2001, this, should go up.
Okay.
So you can, yeah.
This is the back.
Right, so kind of like. Oh, right here, got it, got it. Okay. So 95 is part of the building still there.
Yeah,
Okay, I see, and parking closer to the Hosbrook, got it.
yeah.
Okay. And then this parking. Okay, all right.
So then if we move up to the north along Hosbrook, what we're trying to do here is, this is building 27. The applicant would like to remove a portion of the building, this portion, and then they would like to continue this access road
Carly, which
and bring
portion?
it right up against the building,
The white-
add 4 parking spaces on this side, and then loop around and add 4 parking spaces adjacent to the existing parking lot here. And in this area here is we're proposing a rain garden which will treat runoff from this upper parking lot that currently is not treated, and treat the new pavement that we're proposing here, where the building is portion to be removed. So this would treat all this pavement from up here and this new pavement here in this rain garden.
Existing, new.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, new, existing.
Okay, so you're talking about installing parking in the buffer zone.
What was that again, please?
You're proposing to install those.
Oh,
in
yes,
the buffer
parking
zone.
and parking that's already in a impervious area, as it was paved at one point. Currently, it's broken up pavement, degraded riverfront, so we're just, would like to connect the parking, so the people who come can actually get around the buildings, better circulation than what currently is now, and then add this rain garden to treat all this area that currently is untreated to Hosbrook.
I'm sorry, did you say you're removing building number 27?
A little portion of it.
Just a portion?
Right here.
Okay.
Where,
You see-
The portion.
the gray part?
Yeah, do you see how there's a hatched line in the gray area?
Oh, yeah, I see, so it's a small piece, right?
Yes.
Yeah, on the next plan, if you go to sheet 5, there's a blow up of that area. So maybe if you just go to sheet 5, there's a blow up, and you can see it it's about 29 feet of building.
Okay, that's clear now to me.
So you're just lopping off half the building and then gonna make safe the other side?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Make it a connection, that circulation that people can come in off of Endicott, come down, and then be able to come around to the back side of the building. They can circulate this way. Currently, there is really no connection from this parking lot down to this parking area right down here. So we're trying to make the connection that they can come and get to parking down here. If all this parking spaces are full, they can make the connection instead of having to loop out, come in, and then come in this way and go all the way around.
Okay.
So we're trying to provide better access by making this connection.
Carly, can you highlight that? It's hard, we're not being able to see what you're talking about. Okay, so
I'm just gonna.
she's connecting the parking lots?
I believe like
Yeah.
through
Okay.
here down to the canine area.
Yeah.
By this new avenue.
So taking this down and then, so.
This will be gone, and this will be the new pavement that we just saw.
Yeah.
And this is existing
And so
pavement.
they're coming down here?
Yeah.
Okay, got it, okay. And so these go away?
No, I believe.
So how are you coming down this
no,
way?
Lot 26
Yeah.
that's existing, that's going to continue to stay as is. 26
We
14.
mean building 26? Or this parking lot up at the top?
The parking lot.
Yeah. That's
Yes, that parking should remain.
So I'm having a hard time figuring out from Endicott, where are the cars going? Are they cutting through the parking lot?
Yeah, right.
Do you mind if I approach?
Please, go to the video, or go to the board.
So,
So it comes off Endicott, right?
yep, you come in, all right, this is buildings, yeah, so we come in here, and this is the main building where the arcade is now, this is the front of the mill.
Yeah.
Because this is 3 plans in one, you're not seeing the whole overall site.
Yeah.
So this plan, you can see a little bit better of the circulation, yes. So,
Oh, okay, great.
right, so you see all the buildings here.
C4?
This is Endicott Street.
Yep.
You come in along the brook. There is a circular driveway out now. These are the condominiums that are there.
Yep.
This is all the shopping, building 23 through 26. So what Susan was talking about is adding parking here in between these two buildings, because this area right here,
These are existing buildings here.
these are all existing
So you're
buildings.
talking about parking in here.
So this parking driveway will
Okay.
connect this building
I
here.
see, I see.
And this is 27, where we're taking off this gray area. There's an existing building now where we're removing that portion.
Okay, and so this will be paved?
This is where the building is and currently, and it will be paved, and then we're putting the rain garden area here, which is
How come
currently
you're paving that
broken
far
up,
if you're not going to park?
so they can access the whole site.
Oh, so
So
there's a
that you can go,
there's
yeah, this
pavement
this
here. Okay.
parking lot connects to this,
Got it.
and all the way around. It makes the whole site so that it's congruent. You can travel throughout each parking lot.
Got it, okay.
And we have it all as one way, so for safety's sake, it's
Mm-hmm.
all one way.
So, not that it matters, but it'll be like this.
Currently, you come in here and it's going to stay the way it is.
Right.
You drive along the front and you can exit.
Yep.
You can also go to the parking lot over here,
Yep.
and you can go down to the back and into all the buildings that we have here. So our retail area is up in the front currently, and then back here is currently vacant. We've got like industrial uses and things like that in here,
Mm-hmm.
the dog trailer, another dog, like daycare type thing. And these are vacant, or this one's vacant. We're working on that, and this is the batting cage. So it's a multi-use site.
Okay.
The building here was in the 1700s, so we're dealing with a site that's been fully developed for a long time,
Yeah.
and just trying to get better.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, I think we're,
You said with this?
yes, yeah, well, we can go to the NOI, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we do have it, yep. Thank you for bringing that, it's helpful.
I'm happy to come up if there's any other questions.
Okay, awesome, thank you, appreciate it. Well, my first observation is it's very complex. And it seems like there's a lot of work going on in the resource areas. And I totally understand that it was a totally developed site, but I feel like we need to get a better handle on this work. Carly, do you have any comments or do you guys have any questions?
My only comment is I'd really appreciate walking the site. I think it's hard to determine
It is.
what's an improvement and what's not. Just, I know there are pictures, but seeing it in person makes it a lot easier to visualize.
Yes.
We can schedule a site visit altogether.
Yeah.
Do you want, I mean, if you, Kevin, when you're doing tours,
I can do a tour.
yeah, however you want to do it, if you want to have a guided tour, or you want to walk it yourself, either way, it's fine.
Carly, we typically do somewhat of a guided tour.
Yeah.
I think it would be helpful.
We'd be
Yes.
lost, yeah, so it would be great
I
if you
get
could,
lost
the
down
guided
there.
tour, yeah, that would be.
I live next to it and I get lost too.
There you go. All right, Carly, any thoughts? Next steps?
Yeah, a couple of thoughts. One is because it's in riverfront area, generally we request an alternatives analysis. So other ways of designing the project so that it creates less impact on our resource areas. I did not see a alternatives analysis in the NOI packet. I would also be curious to see if this is actually a land use with higher potential pollutant loads, called an LUH PPL, which would have different stormwater management standards associated with it.
For sure.
Let's see. I think that it will be important for us to hear comments from the planning board, and how that might affect the design of the project, because that might change the impacts on our resource areas. And I think because of the complexity of this site, and the history of activity on the site, it would be helpful to have a peer review of past, the after the fact work, the new proposed work, effects on our resource areas, those sort of questions. I think that would be helpful for us. I also noted at one point in the NOI packet, there was a lack of information about depth to groundwater. I think it's important that we know that information so we can be assured that the stormwater best management practices will function as intended. Or a soils analysis to help us also understand that the stormwater management structures will function as intended. So I feel like there's some extra information that we would benefit from having in making our determination.
Totally agree. So next steps, do we want to wait until it passes through planning to see if there's any impacts? In the meantime, us schedule a walkthrough to get familiar with the site?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can do that.
And so we are moving to continue until we hear from the plan. I guess we have to continue with the date, right?
Right.
Do you have a sense of what's going on with planning?
Well, we haven't filed with them yet.
Okay.
We've been working on the plans, and the plans for, what we're doing are pretty extensive. And that will take, when we file with them, we're likely to have in department head meetings sometime between the filing and a scheduled hearing date. And Susan might be able to comment on whether we're ready with our packet now of plans, but I think we're just about there, aren't we, Susan, for our filing?
Yes, I just need to confer with the applicant regarding the comment that Carly had about additional landscaping that Elix had provided to her in an email.
So there may be a little bit of tweaking of what we have based on those discussions.
Okay.
But, and speaking with the client, and the various comments, but we can get that going. We're still probably several weeks before an initial hearing with the planning board.
Okay. Why don't we set the planning board aside, right? Because I think there's still a lot of matter in front of Concom that might take us a little while. Maybe you'll get a better sense of what's going on with planning.
Yeah, it becomes
Does that
a
make
chicken
sense?
and egg thing,
I know, exactly,
Who do we deal with first? So we're happy to hear comments and, what's on the minds of the Conservation Commission
Right.
that we might be able to respond to, get more information for. But there will be a little bit of back and forth between us and the planning board, us and you, and people asking for changes here and there.
Yeah.
They will have concerns, I expect, but their concerns are somewhat different from yours in terms of, the river.
Yeah.
And, but I'm sure they'll have some concerns. They're always looking for landscaping. The concerns about circulation, which is what we're trying to improve. The difficulty here is balancing the various needs that we have for this site and to satisfy the concerns that the town has expressed to us about getting permits, getting circulation, but then we've got a brook there that we've got to deal with.
So let me pose a question to you. You've heard from Carly what, we are all agreeing that we want, alternatives analysis, depth to groundwater. What else were we looking?
I saw something about a soils analysis,
Soils
groundwater.
analysis, the higher pollutant load with the parking lots.
I have
So
that.
We have a list of additional things we need, so we can either schedule a hearing that's close, or give you time to do what it is that Carly is suggesting, and continue to then, or do we want to pause until you get through planning?
Well, I think I prefer to have a continuance to a specific date. Otherwise, we end up having to give notice all over again.
Okay, so,
So as long as we keep-
we're asking for a lot, so.
Well, I guess the question for Sue is, and if you were able to follow that list that Carly was giving us, how long do you think it would take to get some of those things put together, an alternatives analysis, information regarding pollutant loads, groundwater, soils analysis? What do we need? Do we need to go out 3 weeks, 6 weeks? And I'm assuming we're still in the 3-week schedule.
We are.
We would not be able to get all that information within 3 weeks to give the board time to review everything, because you still have to send this out to a peer review consultant, if that's what I heard Carly say, correct?
Yep.
Is that, Carly, I know you suggested that, is that the board, the
Yes.
commission's going to take that view? Okay. So they will want some information.
They would want some time,
And
yeah. to
they'll
review
need some
everything.
weeks to review it. So is a 6-week continuance at least keeping this alive, and we'll get in information, and if we submit information, can it be sent out to the peer review folks? Can the commission agree on who they're going to use, or do you need to get a proposal first, Carly, before you can even have the commission agree on the peer review people?
I think 6 weeks will be tight, but we can schedule it at 6, and if we're not ready, we continue it again.
Right. I'm just trying to keep it alive and not
Yeah, I
have
hear
to
you.
give notices all over again.
Yep.
So November 6th.
1, 2,
November
5,
6th.
6,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Is that amenable to you guys? And my other
Yeah.
suggestion is Carly and Sue should probably get together, and let's just make sure we have a comprehensive list of what we're asking for.
Yeah, I was going to ask, if we
Okay,
can
awesome.
get
That
a
would be
list of what, the issues are.
Yes.
Then the different people can work on them.
Good. Okay.
And Carly, when do you want to schedule, when would we want to schedule the site walkthrough? Closer to the November 6th date?
I think we could do it anytime. Let's just try and find a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, not during the workday or, on a weekend
So-
or something like that.
So a weekend, are you thinking like a Saturday? Or when it,
Yeah, it's going to start getting dark.
I was gonna say,
Kevin-
if it's dark before
Kevin
we
would
leave
be-
work.
when are you available to do
I
site
could
visit?
do most late afternoons, evenings. Weekends are tough. I'm a hockey coach, so I'm all over New England on weekends.
Well, I guess if we're going to do nights, we
We
gotta
can do
get
it
on the
soon
schedule
then.
sooner
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't we compare schedules and maybe try and
Yeah.
do something next week, right?
Friday?
I know, work from home on Friday.
This is going to be,
I get
is
other-
is a quorum going to be
So maybe a Friday afternoon.
meeting?
Yeah. So we're thinking maybe a Friday, work from home.
Will
Next
be-
Friday, I'm off.
Okay.
And next Wednesday, I have continuing education.
So next Friday
But I can do
is
Thursday, Tuesday, Monday,
Oh, I'm out.
or anytime the next week.
Friday the 11th?
That's fine.
Perfect.
Does that work? Okay. We'll settle on a time and be back in touch.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome, great.
So what is the date on that?
Friday the 11th?
October 11th.
October 11th?
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
If a quorum is meeting, is going to do a site walk, do we have to post it?
Good. We probably
I can look into that. I don't know
Yeah.
offhand.
I mean, it's not the continued hearing, but
Yeah. I sort of feel like I want every member to be, this is really complex, so
Yeah.
it will likely go over the quorum, so. Okay.
so,
I think also the applicant is able to weigh in on if they want the public on their property. And
right, I
that's-
think the general rule is you come, you look, but no real discussion.
Right.
Right.
We
Of-
don't, we
of-
don't talk, yeah.
Yeah.
Just asking clarification.
Yeah, information, provide
Yeah.
information, but no discussion or argument.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think is the basic rule on that, so we don't run into it.
We never talk.
You've done it, yeah. We used to do it with years ago, the zoning board would do it on Saturday mornings. We'd walk the site and you'd be,
Everybody's fussy.
and all the neighborhoods would be there. Neighborhoods would be there too, and it was interesting controlling the crowd on somebody's property. You've got more experience, and we'll see. So sometime on the 11th, if you have to post it, you'll post it, and Kevin, you can do that
Yep.
and be there with them and give the guided tour. All
Okay,
right.
we'll get back to you on it.
And then we're going to, tonight, continue the hearing to,
November 6th,
no, that was November 6th.
7:30 at the senior center.
That, Kevin, you can do that date, as far as you know?
As far as I know.
Sue, are you available November 6th if we are ready?
Yeah, as far as I know, yep.
Okay.
Okay. So we're good.
Don't
So-
really need me.
Okay, those two will, or Carly will get a list to Sue, just, and the applicant about what we're doing. Okay, all right. So can I get a motion to continue the hearing to November 6th, 7:30 at the senior center?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. And we'll vote. Anil?
Aye.
Kelsey?
Aye.
And the vice chair votes yes. All right, so we're all set. Thank you.
All right,
you guys.
thanks very much.
It was helpful to have the plans. I appreciate you
Yeah.
going through that with us. I'm looking forward to the tour.
I'm getting good at it.
Okay. Sure you
Thank
are.
you.
Okay. All right, Carly, you're up next. Some wetlands issues and updates.
you discussing those tonight or no?
We are.
Thank you.
Okay, hazard tree permit. We had Tim Collins contact us about wanting to take out trees on his property. And so I went out to his site and I looked at the trees and I commented on the trees that are within the buffer zone. And I gave him administrative approval to modify several of the trees. But he's coming back to us with a request for determination of applicability to take out more trees. And that will be on the agenda for our next Conservation Commission meeting. But I just wanted to make you aware, as we do in this process, that I issued a hazard tree permit.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. The next is an update on, I'm sorry, that's your role.
Oh, I'm saying, yes, so keep going. This is your part of the agenda. Carly, enforcement order update. W.T. Rich is here with us.
Yeah, we have Bethany.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can.
Good evening.
So who's
I was going to say, are you looking for an update from me or is Carly giving
Carly,
an
you
update?
want to start?
Sure, we can start. As part of, and Bethany, feel free to add input as I go.
Okay.
As part of the enforcement order that we issued to look into potential connections between the Coakley construction site and Haas Pond, where we had witnessed an oil sheen, W.T. Rich hired a contractor to scope the pipes that they're aware of allowing stormwater flow into Hosbrook. They were looking for any potential connections with the ponds or any sources of oil or sources of sediment, because when I went out to the site at one point, I think it was maybe last week at this point, I noticed sediment coming out of the pipe at the head wall on Hosbrook that comes from the Coakley. And I think Bethany could speak to the results, perhaps, if you'd like to weigh in here.
Yeah, so specifically for the investigation of the pipes from the project site itself, they were scoped. We are awaiting the actual file of the camera footage. But we did confirm that those pipes followed the path shown on our stormwater pollution prevention plan that shows 2 outlets at 2 different locations along the brook. And that aligns with the design documents we have. We also were asked to potentially scope from an outlet to the pond to the site, and we were unaware of a outlet location, and there wasn't one that we could find or be pointed to us to go the opposite way, so we didn't scope anything from the pond into our site. Just, again, because we aren't aware of one. Vertex, the owner's project manager, also did contact the DPW to try and investigate other potential historic lines that could be scoped that potentially go into the pond. The DPW files that were received and I believe shared, Carly, aligned with the design documents that we received from the civil engineer on our construction project. So everything seems to align with the construction documents that we have built to the historical drainage pipes that we tie into and our project site. There's also some questions about some existing or new structures on our site that potentially veer off into the pond directly and don't follow those 2 pipes. So we did share with Carly today photos of inside of all of those specific structures and just confirmation that they align with the drainage documents of the permanent design of that, of our site. So yeah, we investigate and we don't see any location where it's going into the pond itself. As it relates to the potential sediment or silt or whatever the analysis we want to look at is, the camera footage did find some damaged drainage pipes, which appears just like roots have grown into them over the years, closer to the brook, kind of underneath that existing football field for the town. So it does look like a lot of drainage lines tie into that one spot. So basically everyone else who's coming down too, right, is going to this one spot, and those roots are causing basically a buildup of sediment. So when there is a big rain event, anything that's built up there appears to kind of get washed. It's what the camera operator conveyed to us. But again, you can see that in the footage. As it relates to actual dewatering from our project site, we did confirm the day when we were doing the dewatering, when there was some turbid water witnessed in the brook itself. We did confirm that the water coming out of our project site was clear. And since that point, Wiggly, the site works contractor, has purchased turbidity meter. So as part of their stormwater pollution prevention inspections that they're completing, they're also going to be including the turbidity readings as well. And then we can also obviously use that on the one-off cases that there's concerns as well. So we have tested that, and the latest results out of that, which I believe was about 36 hours after that was flagged. Carly, you're right, I don't remember, I apologize if it was last week or the week before, but they did confirm that the limits or the value was much lower than the limit, the turbidity reading that was coming out of that machine. So that's everything we've been able to do on our end. I don't know, I guess, next steps from here.
But we still want to receive the files.
Correct.
Right, so that's.
And let me just clarify that, we are waiting on a disc in the mail. Why that is still how we transfer files back into me. They did do the testing on Friday, this past Friday. As soon as I get it, you will see it. Carly, I'm hoping for a link. There was a phone call made to even the owner of Underground Testing Services today, and we still just don't have that file. But yes, as soon as we get it, you will have the camera footage, and then we've already sent those photos.
Okay, so here's a question. So you said there was tree roots growing in the pipe underneath the football field, causing sort of a buildup of sediment in there that flushes out with rainstorms or with use of water at Coakley. So are those roots going to be cleaned out? Is the pipe going to be repaired where there's intrusion of roots? Like, what is the follow-up for that?
That is outside of our project limits. It's actually pretty significantly outside of our project limits, so I guess I would have to defer to the town or the building committee chair. We can go over to that area, and yes, we have the capability of doing that, but that old historic drainage line is not currently part of our scope.
Okay. One thing that was interesting to witness when I was out there was the turbid water, so that means water carrying sediment coming out of the outlet at the head wall, and it traveled downstream along Hosbrook, and it continued down Hosbrook, but it also cut off into the ponds because the outlet is here, the turbid water is coming out, it joins the stream and it flows down, and then it flows into the pond. So both ponds became turbid, which made me question when there was the oil release at some point, is that how it came into the ponds? But there hasn't been a source that's been located for that initial oil.
Well, do we know what the drainage area is that it flows into there? Have we marked that? I mean, it could be more than Coakley, right?
But it was coming out of that pipe. Yes, sorry.
Sorry, I was going to say we did receive the DPW historical data of the other areas around the ponds. A lot of that is outside of our specific drainage plan that we shared, Curly. So I believe that's the version that came from, I think, Mark Ryan to Vertex through to your group. So I have this here. I can email it if you guys don't have it to look at quickly. But it doesn't show any outlets into the pond is big picture of this.
Sir, has there been new road construction, paved road construction in that area?
I am not sure. There had been paving up at the Coakley School, which was what our assumption was as a source of the oil, which doesn't seem to have been the case.
So what are our next steps?
We're waiting for the scoping video.
And then you're going to transmit that to DPW and have them review it?
Yes, and then there'll be a question of how the pipe that's compromised with tree roots will be taken care of as
So
well.
this stays open until we,
I think we should receive the videos, at
Okay.
least keep this open until that point.
okay. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so as soon as I have it, I will send it in via a link. Carly, I'll also get you a hard copy on a USB, assuming we get it in that format as well. So as soon as I have it, I'll let you know. And then, is this planned to be on the agenda at the next meeting just as a check-in?
Yes, I think that would
Okay.
be the way to go.
I'll plan on calling into that one as well.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thanks, Bethany.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
All right. Guile Pond Dam?
So we have been working with Mike Reagan, who is a treasurer of the Norwood Sportsmen's Association on Guile Pond. Ilex Jones, myself, and Mike chatting about applying for a CPC grant to cover a feasibility study to there's many options to consider, basically how to renovate Guile Pond, whether it's to revamp the dam, remove the dam, is it to add a dock, is it to add a trail, you know, how can we work to make it more of an asset to the community? So we've contacted a couple different potential consultants to get cost estimates for feasibility study, and we're aiming to submit a pre-application to the CPC for their October 2nd deadline with that information. And then the full application is due to CPC on November 15th. So we're in that process.
That's great. It's going to be a good project, I think. Okay, great. Thanks, Carly. All righty. Conservation Commission business. First up, Kristen Phelps. Would you like to present on CPC?
Sure. Can I come just sit?
Come on up. Come on up.
Joe, do you want to join me?
Come on, Mike. I know, really. Come on up.
Okay. So my apologies for not getting some documents out to you beforehand, but essentially...
She's been super busy.
So the primary reason I'm here tonight is we're going to do kind of a minor update to the community preservation plan, our needs assessment. It's been quite some time since we've done it. We've made efforts to revamp kind of the meat of the data in that, but the piece that we need input from boards and commissions on are the goals. So you may not be familiar, in fact, especially the new folks on this, the board. In the current version of the plan, there are 3 goals, basically to protect land of highest scenic and historic value through acquisition or easement, to protect land of high environmental value, again through acquisition or easements, and to enhance recreational opportunities. So those are kind of the 3 overarching goals. So what we're looking for in the plan is not a wish list. It's not, we'd like to buy this piece of property, or we'd like to, fix the Guile Pond Dam, but you take you take it to the next level, right? So you have an issue with Guile Pond Dam, and you're trying to preserve a water resource, right? And so that becomes the goal, to preserve your existing or to create new water based features throughout town. So that's kind of what we're trying to get at this plan. And I know it's kind of throwing this at you, and you're going to need to I guess, consider it. But we're going to, we've been to the Trails Committee. We'll certainly reach out to the Recreation folks, the Conservation and Recreation under CPA kind of go together very, very closely. And yeah, so trails would be an example of something that exists under both of those headings. So yeah, so I guess I'm just here to tell you what the existing goals are under this. And again, the CPC looks to this plan when you submit an application. They're like, is this what we were trying to achieve? Under the goals, and to move forward. So. And I can send this along. It's a 2-pager. It's very, very short what currently exists. But I guess my request or my ask, and I'm happy to discuss it now tonight, is what are some of your other overarching goals? So I'm just going to throw a few out there from other towns. So climate resiliency is obviously a very big thing right now, and that's popping up in a lot of plans, like undertaking projects that are going to enhance climate resiliency. And that, again, you're not pointing to, and I'm not telling you that this has to be where, I'm just giving you some examples. The goal is to keep it at that level and not to say, how are you going to do that, So that's one. Another one is sort of protecting, actually I was just looking through Stoughton's because they have a
good one.
preserve water bodies and water resources. So when Guiled Pond came up, I was like, that's, that under theirs, it would kind of fall in there. And honestly, there are other, you just put all this money and effort into Cooper Park, and there's a budding piece of land that would make that an even more valuable asset in my opinion, but it would also preserve those. It's where Hawes and the Neponset coincide, so that would fall under that. It would hit multiple goals if that were one of the things. Something else, and I don't remember if we talked about this, but a lot of towns are focusing on removal of invasives. And so that falls under preservation. Preservation of existing conservation land. So that could be, buckthorn or whatever else you're dealing with over at Endine, or it could be water chestnut or milfoil on one of your water bodies. So that's another thing that kind of pops up from time to time. So just to for this round of the plan, we're reaching out to boards and asking for kind of feedback, and that will be incorporated in a draft community preservation plan update. And at some point that would be adopted. Ideally, we'll get to the point where we'll have a publicly facilitated input session from townwide, and have folks kind of chime in on what they'd like to see, and not just under open space, across the board. Should there be a focus on one category versus another? Should there be a focus on passive recreation versus active? That's what that gets to. But we're looking to you all to do is to brainstorm, discuss what might be important to you in the coming year, 2, 3, and perhaps expand the goals as they were laid out in. Honestly, it's 2019, so it's they're dated. Yes.
When are you looking for us to give you?
So honestly, we were hoping to get something done so that the full applications could be reviewed in light of this. So, I mean, if you could take this up at your next meeting and get back to us with some thoughts, that would be lovely.
Well, I'm wondering if you, Carly, get that to us, and maybe we can email you some thoughts on our own, and then
Absolutely.
yeah, and then you could group it, and we could chat about it at the next meeting.
Yep.
Yep.
So I can get this. Again, it's a 2.
What's that document called?
This is the community preservation plan. This is just the open space.
Okay.
It's a 2-pager for open space.
Got it.
And so just to let you know, in terms of the revamp, the background section in the existing one is like a paragraph long, and now it's like 4 pages long. So it's a little bit more. I mean, we benefited from, you all did an open space and recreation plan update a few years ago, and so a lot of that information has been incorporated just to give people who are reading and trying to get an understanding of what's happening and what, the Community Preservation Committee is looking at, they get a little bit more flavor.
Would it be possible where could I learn more about what projects have qualified under that and have been completed in the past 5 years?
So on our website, there's
Okay.
a list of of approved projects. With
Just to kind of see what boxes we're already ticking
Yeah,
off
yeah,
to
yeah.
see where
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
like to expand.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can give you a quick introduction. So the major one was the Cooper Park, both the purchase of it in 22, I think, and then the restoration. The reason all that kind of that extensive work was allowed to be done is because it was purchased with CPA funds. There's a little bit of squishiness on what you can do if it's an existing, if you have conservation land that was not purchased with CPA funds, that you're more restricted in terms of what you can do. So those were two of the major open space projects. We have a couple of trails
I
projects.
think you only gave one. You gave the Bernie Park. Cooper, what
Yeah,
was
so
the
the
other?
acquisition and
Oh, got it, got it.
yep,
Yep,
and then
okay.
the
And then the
implementation.
development. Yep.
There's two trail projects, the Tyot Trail, which was just awarded, as well as there's a trail plan for University Ave. There's an RFP out, ready to go out on that one. So there's trails, Cooper Park. Joe, help me out here.
Open space. Other open space projects. We got Bernie Cooper, Tyot Trail.
The two-
No, we're in
just-
open
just-
space.
Just open space. It's the two trails,
Historical projects
Yes.
in the past.
Yes. Stop messing. I know. It's tricky.
So I mean, there's a combination under the statute. Open space and rec fall together. So like Morse, Murphy Field basketball courts were a recreation project.
Airport Park.
Airport was a recreation project. Yeah, and I can actually send you our full list of projects too, and it says open space and recreation, and we do kind of make a distinction between open space. So open space and passive recreation, and then active recreation, because they are two very different things, right? Like you have open space and you have trails on it, or you have a playground or a basketball court, right? So there we. So we
the
try
pocket park. The pocket.
Yeah, so pocket parks we consider more open space. So there were a few of those on the corner of Stearns and Elliott, and then the new. I don't know if you've been down Mylod Street, but all that work that's going on
Yep.
at Morse
Watering
Hill.
the grass.
Yes, at Morse Hill Veterans Park. So, so those are the other two. And I have seen that pop up in some plans, as well as the creation or the creation of open space in downtown areas, right? So, and that leads into climate resiliency and dealing with heat islands and that type of thing. So. But yeah, that sounds like a good plan. If I get you the existing one and a list of the
We can add to it, yeah.
current, and then if you have things that you want to add.
So the goal would be for us to get this back to you for the next meeting to discuss.
Okay, great.
Sweet.
Perfect. Anything else to add?
No, so just it sounds like you guys are contemplating a
project, yeah.
project this year. Excellent. Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Very good.
All right, thanks, Kristen. Joe?
Thank you.
Sorry, I just can't hear you. I don't know if you said this, the transfers to the land conservation fund. Did you say that?
Oh, I did not.
No.
Yeah, that's right. So for the last 2 years has been
Yes.
the transfer.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that, Joe. All right, thanks, Kristen.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, number
And
3.
I would say we would like to do that again.
Oh, yeah. So we'll we'll have to input for that. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, Endine Park update?
So the high school students are building the greenhouse. I don't know if any of you have been up there, but it's
Not recently.
in progress. They are running into an issue with poison ivy. So they would like to actually put in a path to the greenhouse so they can avoid getting poison ivy. And I haven't yet thought through the logistics behind that. But is that something that...
What kind of path?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Because isn't it mowed already
Yeah.
in front?
There's a mowed trail that goes down the side of the community garden.
Right.
Yeah.
So if the community garden is here, the greenhouse is over here. So they can walk down the mowed path along the community garden fence, and they walk into the longer grass towards the construction site.
Could we,
for
the
the
town,
greenhouse.
continue and mow that? They mow that.
Yeah, so maybe they could mow around.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from poison ivy, I suppose, like, we haven't discussed long-term access to the
Yeah.
greenhouse. It can't
Yeah.
be long grass in the future.
I mean, it's kind of a short.
It's like a couple
yeah,
feet.
Right, so, I mean, I feel like we could ask the DPW to just zip that out, right?
Sometimes we find with the food forest that we need greater frequency of mowing, and that's where volunteers come in, like Joe Barrett and Mark Negron in terms of like mowing. They also mow around the community garden, so we may need greater frequency.
So are they coming back to you with a proposal about a path, or?
Just a request,
A request,
that we
okay.
consider how to control poison ivy for them, and
So could we approach DPW first and see, ask
Yeah.
Mark what he might think? Okay.
is that something that, as Conservation Commission and owner of the land,
Yeah.
you could be potentially supportive of?
Absolutely.
Yeah, particularly given that they're out there on a routine basis, you know? Start there, right? Okay.
Okay.
Especially if the plan is for students to use that as an outdoor classroom. I'd hate for there to be any, you know.
Poison ivy every
Yeah,
day.
exactly. All right, great.
Hold on one moment. Poison ivy control. Potential.
All right, number 4, Norwood Wetlands Protection Bylaws and Regulations.
Okay, actually, there's one more aspect to number 3.
Oh, the
Signage.
triple signage, right?
Yeah, so
Yes.
there's been some back and forth with Joe Barrett and Mark Negron around the signage. And I know when we've talked about it in the past, there was some feeling on the Conservation Commission of not wanting there to be logos next to each item that has its own little rectangular sign. So the idea is there's this there's a sign that says that it's Endine Park. This is on the Mylad Street entrance. And the idea is to have slender rectangular signs underneath it saying community garden and food forest and, you know, perhaps, and trails. And in the future, perhaps greenhouse. But there was a desire to have a logo by each one of those from the food forest and the community garden and trails. And a commissioner, I remember saying that they didn't want the logos. They wanted it just to be sort of like...
Who didn't want the logos?
I think one of the commissioners did not want to see the logos on each.
Our commissioner?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I expressed that to them. There was also some disagreement over what to call the food forest. There was a feeling that it should just be called like Norwood Food Forest or Community Food Forest as opposed to TIA Food Forest. So I feel like there's some sort of decisions have to be made around wording.
What's the concern with the logos?
I was at the meeting, I can summarize.
Yeah.
I think it was like uniformity with other signs within the town, like specifically
Got it.
open space signs.
So I've been doing some digging around sign standards, and it doesn't appear that there are any sort of universal sign standards in the town around this sort of thing. There's certainly nothing saying that we can't make. We can't. It seems to be that we could have the slender rectangular signs underneath. We don't need to get a permit through zoning or building for this because it's a town-managed sign.
Is signage in our purview? I don't know.
Well, I think because we own the land.
Yeah. Also, if you look at the open space and recreation plan, there's a desire in there for better wayfinding so that the public understands what resources there are around town. So I feel like that's a benefit of having.
I feel like we saw a rendering,
wording.
or
We
not
did.
yeah.
We did.
And I thought it looked very tasteful.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Loading. Oh, so there's the ending, I don't know,
Yep, and
Yep.
that's the
And then-
logo aspect.
that would hang right below there.
I believe so.
Yeah, yeah.
Carly, what is the official name of the food forest? Because I don't know if it
I've
hasn't.
never heard Tayat.
That's
know,
the
Mark
other
Nick-
name for Norwood, is it? The
Native
indigenous
American.
name?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of that, but I've never heard the food forest.
I think Mark Negron would like it to be called the TIAT, Community Food Forest, and I feel like the commissioner or several
Yeah.
were not in support of that, but rather just have it be Norwood Food Forest or Community
Community
Food
Well,
Forest.
an offhand comment, and you're the right person.
Yeah.
Isn't there a trail called that in a different part of town? Potentially?
Yeah.
So it was Mark, it was Mark's idea, like Mark has had a long history with the food forest especially.
Yeah.
And it was, so the Tire Trail is the trail that we're working towards that circumnavigates the town.
Okay.
But that's the name we've assigned to that trail. And it happens to go through Indy.
It does.
Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And that's, so I think what Mark's, I haven't directly talked to Mark about this, but Mark's idea is to tie it all together, And just, and so that's where the naming convention came from, but it didn't come from us.
No, I didn't know
Yeah.
if the trail was by University Ave or elsewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. My only thought is, if I were to drive by and know nothing about this, I would go, well, I'm not in the Tayat community. Maybe I can't
Yeah.
go to that food forest. But that's just
Yeah.
It's not, it's not recognizable to,
Right, to
I
anybody.
guess to most people in the town probably don't know that.
I was part of like when they developed it, and Tayat was never part of it. I think we should drop that and just call it community food forest. I mean, I know we're gonna have to get with Mark, but I think, it's not recognizable, right? And then, are you guys okay with that? We should probably run it by, I feel like we're missing two people. Should we
Yeah.
run it by?
It'd be great to get this rolling too. I know it's been in the works for a while. So
Well,
maybe,
Well, I think nobody's having a problem with the community garden or the trailhead, right? So maybe Carly, could you reach out to Mark and tell him we're dropping Tayat?
I have. I mean, I've
Have you told him
indicated,
that? Okay, okay.
that, what our past discussion was at the Conservation Commission meeting.
Yeah.
I think, in terms of the logos, are you guys in support of dropping the logos, keeping the logos?
I personally, I don't have an issue with the logos.
I don't either.
I don't think I pay attention to logos that much unless they're sort of for directions. But a logo
tasteful.
that represents a place, like a community
Yeah.
garden, I don't think it's an issue.
I like it, it looks good. What do you think?
I like it. I don't have an issue with the logos. I wonder how, I have unfortunately made signs, and I do wonder just how they'll scale and look as you drive by, but that's not
Yeah.
really like a concern, it's just a thought.
And they're
We're
generic
somewhat
enough.
limited, right? You
Right.
know,
Yeah. And I also
it's going to
think-
be interesting to see how close it gets to that rock too, right?
I also think they're generic enough that
Agreed.
we could also reuse them.
And what'll they hang down on hooks, right? Kind of cascading down, right? Yeah, okay.
Yes, and then there was, Joe Barrett mentioned lifting the wooden sign up so there's more space underneath.
Thanks for
Because
having
there's-
this.
I know, exactly. I think that's fine. I mean, I agree. I think it's too close to the bottom, so I'm all for lifting it up. So do you think he would put new posts? Okay.
Or you just move it up the posts, yeah?
If needed,
Well, they're-
the existing signage has been there a long time.
Yeah.
The sign itself is really.
Looks good.
in need of a facelift.
Oh, is it? The sign looks good. The posts look a little weathered.
I don't, yeah, I'm not sure.
So are you thinking we need a new sign?
Not in conjunction with this, but
Okay.
if you're, the point about wayfinding and trying to spruce up the
Yeah.
appearance and the location and the sighting, some of those signs are really tired looking. Maybe not that one in particular,
Yeah.
but the ending sign across from, on Washington Street is really tough. It's in tough shape.
Okay.
That same sign is on the other end by Hospital and
Oh, got it,
right
Yep.
across from the restaurant.
Okay.
I agree that there isn't, it's not obvious what's there when you drive by. I had been on this commission for a while before I really knew where that spot was.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, and even more so when you pull into the lot,
Yeah.
more signage would
Would be
be. I
helpful,
know
yeah.
community gardening has a beautiful sign, but otherwise I don't. Does the food forest have a sign on the property? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
So we
sounds
got a
like,
quorum here.
Yeah.
Let's move forward.
Okay, so signs are okay.
Yep,
We
and
just-
logos are okay.
So logos are
wait a minute.
okay.
Oh, yeah, there's
I
more.
say, yeah, well, it's different fonts.
I think it should match the
Keep-
existing Stein font.
I agree.
So that's in all caps, the top.
Oh, interesting.
So maybe we do that.
So fonts should match the
Conservation Commission land.
large sign.
Yeah, I'm not the graphic person, but I for sure don't like that.
Would it be a good idea to at some point pursue a standard for signage?
I
On
think that's
Concom
where we
land,
kind
yeah,
of got
yeah.
like into the weeds last time. I don't even know if we made any decision. It was just
We
a
did not.
bigger.
It was, I was gonna look into it.
Yeah.
And, we don't have a standard, it appears. Let's see, it looks like we have had signage since like 2009, I think, in parks. Alex did some digging and found that.
Well, you know what, do you ever get like interns or students who work for you? It would be good to do like an inventory, right? So take pictures of all the signs.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Wayfinding is a big deal, big money.
Okay, so we're giving the okay for, it says community garden, what's the trails one say?
Norwood Community Garden, Community Food Forest, and Endine Trailhead.
So Norwood Community Garden,
Yep.
Community Food Forest, and what's the, repeat the trail one, please?
Endine Trailhead. I actually think I like the initial caps because it highlights this more. It's our land, right? Are you suggesting we do all caps down?
I don't know. What do you think doing?
I think all caps is tough to read.
I agree, yeah. So let's keep, well, that's all caps, and let's go with what they proposed.
Okay.
So we're just going to get Tyett out of there, okay?
Can I see?
Yeah. Didn't you email this to me?
Yes, but there's
Yeah,
like
so,
multiple.
so all caps here, right? So we
Yeah.
keep that. Hopefully we'll raise that. Okay. Norwood Community Garden, Community Food Forest, and Endine Trailhead.
Do we have to decide between these logos and the logos on the second page? Because they were slightly different, I think. See?
Oh,
I think
yeah.
That's, I believe so.
I think we go with all blue. So he's got 3 there, logo. This is too big, right?
Well, they're all
And-
the same on the second page.
Here? I mean, the blue one kind of meshes with, I can't believe I'm deciding this is ridiculous. This blue one seems to jive with all the other ones. I think the brown one's gonna blend in. Yeah. Executive decision has been made.
Perfect.
Okay,
So
I think
page
this.
1?
Yeah.
Page 1 of 2.
Right.
All right, let's see.
Okay, yeah. And maybe can we trouble him to do just a mock-up and what the sign would look like? Could he do that? Just so you can finally bless it?
Okay.
Make sure the spelling's right? Okay. All right, we're good?
All right, yes.
Okay. Stop. All right, next is your wetlands protection bylaws and regulations.
Okay. So I shared in the folder with you all a letter from Town Council David DeLuca when Attorney Hearn brought this up previously related to Prospect Street. And David DeLuca's firm and his colleague Brett Kavanaugh felt that the wording in our regulations and bylaw was usable, that each town is really given the power to interpret their bylaw and regulation in a way that makes sense to them. I don't know if you took a look through the letter. It didn't seem to me that it indicated we needed to do any changing of verbiage.
I didn't get to look at it. You sent it today?
No, on Friday. It's within the folders.
Folder.
Yeah.
Now, this agenda item, was it placed here because there was desire to change it, even regardless of town council's opinion?
At the
Not
last-
change it, improve it, I suppose?
Well, at the last meeting, there was discussion by Attorney Hearn and applicant Matt Smith and our commission about intermittent streams and what our bylaw says, what our bylaw regulations say, and what the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act says. And the Conservation Commission, uses the wording of our regulations and bylaw to make our decisions. And Attorney Hearn and Matt Smith were indicating that they would like to see the wording be different in order for it to be clearer and to reflect the meaning that we understand it to have. But our town council seems to say that the wording is fine as is, and we can continue to use our bylaw and regulations to manage, to comment on our permit applications as we've been doing.
Okay.
There was some question over whether we should be changing the wording in our regulations to make it clearer.
And the wording is around intermittent streams.
yeah. So what actually is the ask? Whether we want to make any changes?
I think there was just a desire to discuss this. Like, how did the conservation want to move forward? If there were any actions we wanted to take, did we want to change wording? Go through that process.
Well, is there a little history as to why we got to where we were at? Like, when was that bylaw enacted? Was it when the original town bylaw was enacted?
No.
No?
I remember Peter said you worked on it.
Yeah. Oh, he did, Peter Bamber. Yeah. I feel like we need to understand, from Dave DeLuca, like, how this came about and maybe get some more background on it. Because if is he leaving it up to us? Whether we make a change? I mean, we couldn't make the change, but we could advocate to have a change made.
I think when this was last looked at, this was in May of 2023, there was no change that was suggested we make. But if we feel as a Conservation Commission that this comes up more than we would like it to, or we would like to add more clarity, then we could take some sort of action.
So I feel like I'm not prepared to make a decision. I need to read this more closely. And
Okay.
so I see the one document there, the town council email, and then there's something from Attorney Hearn, right? I assume. Okay.
I think Steve had a few comments
Yeah.
on the whole subject matter, so I'd hate for us to kind of
Yeah.
move along.
Okay.
So could we put it on the next agenda and we'll commit to
Yes.
doing some reading, and if we have questions, and, maybe we can funnel those to you, Carly? And then you can check with
David DeLuca.
town council, yeah, yeah. Okay. All right, so we'll put it back on the agenda for tomorrow, for next meeting.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Carly referred to something that came from Dave DeLuca. Is that a new memo, or are you
No.
referring to one a year ago?
A year ago.
Here we go, yeah.
The one a year ago cites the wrong statute. It cites Section 8C, which has to do with land under control of the Concom. That has nothing to do with the regulations that we've argued about. It absolutely nothing to do with those. So, and I tried to point that out, but we did not ask, neither Matt Smith nor I asked for a change in the regulations. The interpretation of the we believe the regulations are not consistent with the bylaw, and the bylaw is supreme. That's the point. We're not asking for really a change of the regs. We just think they're not valid. I mean, I could suggest a change. You can change the regs, you can't change the bylaw. Only town meeting can change the bylaw. But I just wanted to know what memo. I have a copy of the memo from May, was it May or thereabouts? Carly?
Yep, May
Of
31st.
2023?
Yes.
Yeah, I have that. The regulations were amended in 2022, I think. Yeah. Okay, just thanks for the clarification on that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we have a little bit more homework to do. Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay.
Just another night out.
Okay. Carly, you have the minutes? I looked at them. They seem okay.
Great.
8:14.
Yep,
I
it's
think I was here.
8/14/24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kate Kawachi is our, the woman who transcribes the minutes.
Okay.
Just, I don't.
Yeah. Okay. We don't need to vote on that, do we? Oh, we
Yes.
do?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to vote to approve the minutes? Neil?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. And Neil?
Aye.
Kelsey?
Aye.
And Catherine? Aye.
Agent update, is that?
Yes, yes, indeed.
Oh.
We're next.
Wait, do we have to sign the meeting?
Oh,
No.
we're not done yet.
Okay.
We got more.
No. Okay, and the agent update, yep.
We had broached it previously during, very quickly after Kristen Phelps gave her presentation about the CPC, which is that I would like to submit an application again for a transfer of $10,000 into the conservation fund. That wasn't on this agenda because it came up later, but
Yeah, we should. We do it every year.
Love
So,
it, yeah.
I mean, yeah, money to
That's how we
buy,
bought
money to
the-
buy land.
Yeah, the Cooper Park. We gotta
Yep,
move on to the next one.
yep.
I guess there's one more thing. Let's see, hold on one sec. 10K. Fund CPC. The seed library, we're looking at upcoming.
I saw it.
Oh, you
A
went,
few weeks
you went to
ago,
the seed
yeah,
library?
yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, we're talking about now what workshops we can do. And I remember you had said you might be into doing a winter sewing.
I'd love to, yeah.
Okay,
I don't know if I'm the person that gives it, but I can.
What is it, winter what?
Winter sewing?
So I went to this workshop last year. It was through the Concord Community Library, and there was I don't know if it was the trustees, there was an environmental group there, and they gave a workshop on what's called cold stratification, and it's what a lot of native plant seeds need to undergo in order to germinate come spring. And so there's a cute little method you can do where you use a milk jug and you package it up kind of before the new year, I'd say, and put it outside, and it allows for these plants to grow. And it feels very complicated, so when you do it in a group setting with somebody that knows what they're doing, I'm going to point to Carly more. It's really easy, and I'd dare say fun. And it's a great resource because I think a lot of people are interested in native planting, but it is a barrier for sure.
Yeah.
It's not like you just go to Home Depot and buy something,
Yeah.
right? A lot of times there aren't as many native nurseries, so it does, growing from your own seed does
Yeah.
allow another opportunity, but you need to learn the how-to.
So we're looking at workshops.
Okay.
That was one.
Oh, good.
Another is seed sorting, like seed harvesting. And so we're in the midst of working with library staff to come up with workshops and have our volunteer steering committee meet again. And I'm talking about the seed library because funding for the seed library came through a Conservation Commission application to the Norwood Cultural Council. So we're involved with this program at the library.
Awesome.
And that's, oh, I guess one more thing.
Yes.
At our next meeting, our new commissioner will start. That's Kalima. And also we have a new senior office coordinator in our office because, as you know, Lynn Marchand left several months ago. So now we have Kelly Voss. So you may be hearing from Kelly at different points. She took a Conservation 101 class last night.
Oh, good.
So she's getting into it.
I remember. I took the class last night.
All right.
Online?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
that's good.
Great. Awesome,
So-
okay.
Excellent.
Carly, I
Alright.
have a question, if that's
Oh,
okay.
yes.
The library last year or the year before had a bunch of green seminars. Where did the funding for that come from?
I am not sure. I
Like,
think
that was
that's,
actually when you spoke.
I
You had a
did.
seminar for.
through the sustainability series, and I'm not sure who funds that. Yeah.
All right, final motion?
Motion to adjourn, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, we'll vote. Neil?
Aye.
Kelsey?
Aye.
Catherine, aye. All right, thank you. Thanks, Carly.
Thank you.